not a lot of bang for your buck here.
If you would do us the honor of presenting your findings.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 shortest full-priced video games. For this list, we're looking at games sold for a full retail price that we have found to be disappointingly short in single-player content, with special attention given to those games whose campaigns lasted approximately 5 hours or less. We're excluding indie games simply because of their reduced price, and the same goes for Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, since that was released in half the full retail price.
Excellent, Snake. Age hasn't slowed you down one bit.
Number 10, The Order, 1886.
That the threat to this order comes not only from without, but within.
For all the hype and the technology at play, what's actually here feels undercooked.
This device allows you to convert between Edison's inefficient direct current and my superior alternating current.
This game, which was developed by Ready at Dawn over a 5-year period, portrays an alternate universe London in which half-human creatures exist and elite knights battle them. Its masterful graphics, careful use of steampunk iconography, and core premise, while admirable, could not compensate for the quick thrust of the campaign, which can be completed in about 6 hours.
Give yourself up, monsieur. My next shot will not be a warning.
Factoring in a lack of additional content and underwhelming gameplay, the full retail price attached to the order at launch is questionable at best, laughable at worst.
Enjoying a stroll in the park, are we?
Nothing quite like a chilly London morning to stimulate the senses.
Number 9, Star Fox Assault.
They want to eradicate us all. I'm not giving up.
Maybe Namco should have let Nintendo cover this one. Star Fox Assault opted to return to the space combat roots of its series, save for certain on-foot and ground vehicle segments.
We have to believe in Fox. That's all we can do.
Unfortunately for eager players, the game's campaign consisted of a mere 10 missions that could be completed in about 6 hours, and it lacked the branching paths of games past. To add insult to injury, much of the unlockable content in Star Fox Assault was tied to the game's local-only multiplayer, leaving the campaign feeling all the more light.
You did it, Fox!
Number 8, Yoshi's Story. After the success of Yoshi's Island on the SNES, the thought of a sequel as Mario's adorable sidekick, without having to drag that crybaby around everywhere, was a joy very short-lived. You only need to finish 6 levels in order to beat the game, and depending on your skill level, this will take an average of about 2 hours to beat on your first try. And while there are far more than just 6 levels, you'll pretty much have seen everything the game has to offer in about 10 hours. And that's all assuming that ear-splitting main theme doesn't throw you off any earlier. Number 7, Pokemon Snap. Although we really like this game and its concept, the length is something of a sticking point. Pokemon Snap, a spin-off of the core Pokemon franchise released for the N64, drew gamers young and old into its fold with a simple idea: photographing wild Pokemon. Fun as the concept was, the game's reliance on linear levels that could be completed in less than 10 minutes left a little something to be desired. Furthermore, the game possessed a mere 7 levels, it only showcased 63 of the original 151 Pokemon, and game completion can be achieved in about the amount of time it takes to develop a roll of film. So disappointing. Number 6, 007 Quantum of Solace. One would think that drawing upon a pair of major films, particularly from the generally entertaining James Bond franchise, would produce something of substance.
Where is Lynch? If you've harmed him, we'll kill you all.
Yet, what resulted was a first-person shooter that quickly pushed players through action-heavy versions of scenes from 2006's Casino Royale and its sequel, Quantum of Solace. Though 007 Quantum of Solace was found to be competent in its shooting mechanics, the fact that its story could be completed in a few hours diminished the experience greatly.
Move on! This is the room. We have shots fired. Hold for update.
Number 5, Vanquish. Ah, Shinji Mikami. So close to perfection, yet just off the mark. Developed by Platinum Games, Vanquish crosses third-person action with a sliding mechanic and the challenge of bullet hell games to create a slick and exciting experience.
No!
Players enamored with the game's vibrant visuals and intense gameplay were thus disappointed to learn that a single playthrough can be finished in a few hours.
What the hell is that thing?
Matters aren't helped by the breakneck pace of the action, which push players quickly to the game's conclusion. Number 4. Terminator Salvation. Based on the film of the same name, the third-person shooter Terminator Salvation actually acts as a loose prequel to the film's events.
This is Connor. Do you copy? Come in. Can you hear me?
Sadly, this does not take away from the slightness of the game's narrative, which can be experienced in full, taking into account its cutscenes, in no less than 4 hours. Adding to the lack of substance on display, Terminator Salvation is said to only have difficulty settings as its unlockable content, and a planned multiplayer mode was scrapped during development.
Come on, Connor, get around behind him!
Number 3. Kane and Lynch 2, Dog Days. Its blatantly short length is so notable, it spawned a meme. Kane and Lynch 2 nauseated audiences with its shaky camera style, which actually probably made the abruptness of its conclusion somewhat of a relief. Spanning 11 missions taking the titular pair of hardened criminals through Shanghai, Dog Days is believed to last about 4 hours in continued play.
Come on! I had no choice.
Considering critics took issue with the game's brevity, among many other issues, it's not a surprise that the decision to sell the game at full retail price would be a contentious one. Number 2, The Bouncer. For all the hype, this didn't amount to much. An early PlayStation 2 title, The Bouncer offered an intriguing approach to beat-em-up game design, separating gameplay segments with cutscenes that furthered the story.
Apparently, I have underestimated you.
The game would then let players choose between 3 fighters, with the 2 unselected characters acting as AI allies in the next segment.
Good morning!
The novelty at work here was hampered, however, by the cutscenes and loading screens taking up much of the gameplay time, leaving only small portions of player-controlled action to be enjoyed. Approximately 2 hours to be precise. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Right, let's get moving. Time to get paid, and now I think it's about beer o'clock.
Let's just get the job done and see what happens.
Number 1, Rogue Warrior.
I get the job done. Today, that means flying under the radar.
On top of not being a particularly well-made game, it's also depressingly short.
You got me.
Sharing only a name with U.S. Naval Officer Richard Marcinko's autobiography, Rogue Warrior is hypothetically a tactical first-person shooter set in North Korea, spotty execution notwithstanding.
That asshole's still twitching.
Of course, almost all of the reviews of the game pointed to its abysmal length, with an estimate placing it at about 2 hours or less. Combined with underdeveloped story elements, terrible AI, and a wide array of poor design choices, the fact that Rogue Warrior doesn't last long is utterly shameful, although that may qualify as a minor mercy. Do you agree with our list?
Matter of perspective.
What full-priced single-player games do you feel are too short? For more fulfilling top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.